Hi everyone, welcome to Leap Junction's market research presentation. We will be going through the different ways to conduct research for your business to make sure that you're your most successful self as you embark on this new journey. So before we start, grab your business model canvas and value proposition canvas for reference, download the worksheet associated with the workshop, and if you do have a notebook or a Google Drive started to take notes for further brainstorming, that's a really good idea for this presentation because market research is usually requiring a lot more space than what would be typically available on the business model canvas or on a single sheet of paper. So grab that. My name is Alex Jaworski. I am the facilitator of this workshop, and I spent some time working with Leap Junction over the past couple years as an events and outreach facilitator and as a business advisor. So I do have some background in business, and one of my favorite things is market research and validating businesses through facts and data, not just hints or hunches and assumptions. So let's get started with the agenda. So the things that we will be going over today include the environmental and industry analyses, what is market research generally, the types of market research that you can do, competitor and SWOT analyses, and also where you should be looking. For environmental analyses, the analysis of a company's environment is comprised of various elements like its affiliated industry, the market, its clients, and competitors from a big picture perspective. All businesses are influenced by their environment, and there are several environmental factors, especially economic or social factors, along with political and technological factors that play a role in a company's decision-making as they reveal levels of opportunities and risks for the company's business. Information is gathered for proper decision-making on issues such as location, for example, and allowing a company to appropriately determine its site and look and feel of its premises so that its customers and clientele feel comfortable in the space that they set up. These factors are analyzed to evaluate external business developments, and it is up to the ownership of the business and its management to adjust to its environment or adequately influence the environment in a way that allows for sustainability. So there are different methods available to analyze the company's environment, which are explained throughout this section. So the first thing we're going to look at is an industry analysis, and most specifically, we are going to look at a pestle analysis. So to do an industry analysis and the pestle analysis, we're going to be asking ourselves some questions. So how is your industry evolving? What does the future look like? How will you maintain your existing business? What are the market factors that influence you? What is the condition of your competitors? And what is the availability of suppliers? And if you answer all these questions and you go through the pestle analysis with your market research, we should be able to arrive at your official title as an industry expert. So, pestle analysis. Businesses are greatly influenced by their environment. All the situational factors which determine day-to-day circumstances impact firms. So businesses must constantly analyze the trade environment and the market. There are many strategic analysis tools that a business can use, but some are more common. The most used detailed analysis of the environment is the pestle analysis. This is a bird's eye view of the business conduct that managers and strategy builders use to find where their market is currently trending. It also helps foresee where the organization will be in the future. Pestle analysis consists of various factors that affect the business environment, and each letter is the acronym signifies a set of factors. These factors can affect every industry directly or indirectly, and both positively and negatively. So for the pestle analysis, we're looking at political factors, economic factors, social factors, technological factors, legal factors, and environmental factors. Often, analysis will choose to learn about political, economic, social, and technological factors only. This is known as the PEST analysis. PEST is also an environmental analysis, and it is a shorter version of the pestle. But we go through legal factors and environmental factors as well, because these are additional and crucial crucial factors when starting your business, especially in places like Canada. So the first one is P is for political. So political factors take the country's current political situation into account. It reads the global political conditions effect on the country and your business. When conducting this step, ask questions like what kind of government leadership is impacting decisions of the firm? So some political factors you can study are government policies, taxes, laws, and tariff and trade agreements, stability of governments, and entry mode regulations. A few questions to consider from a political perspective. Are there any upcoming legislative changes that will affect your business? How might international conflicts affect your business? And what will happen if government funding in your industry is increased or decreased? Next up, we have E is for economic. So these are factors that conclude the direction in which the company might move. So businesses analyze this factor based on the environment. It helps to set up strategies in line with changes in the economy. So economic factors include on a national level, economic growth, current interest rates, exchange rates, inflation rates, consumer confidence, disposable income, new housing stats, and global events, much like the COVID-19 pandemic that can send economies and governments into a bit of a tizzy. Some economic factors you can study that are more regional or localized are industry strikes, downsizing, and unemployment rates. On the next one, we have S for social. So sociological factors often look at the cultural aspects and include health consciousness, age distribution, career attitudes, and an emphasis on safety. And you'll also want to evaluate fads and changes in consumer preferences because that will come up and that will impact your business. So for example, Canadians are considered extremely health conscious and spend more today on keeping their bodies and minds healthier than ever before. We have become more cognizant of the importance of buying local, not only for the boost it provides to the local economy, but for the quality of products and services available for purchase. Next, we're going to look at T for technological. So technological factors will affect your business as well. If you're operating in an industry where being on the cutting edge of technology is critical for survival, then you want to be in the know in respect to constant technological changes, conduct R&D or research and development activities and automation, and just be generally aware of what's going on in the world of technology advances today and tomorrow. You'll want to know when a product or service has become obsolete or when it is likely to happen to your product or service so that you have the opportunity to react accordingly as well. So that is the rate of technological obsolescence there. You also want to know how can you utilize technology to improve the operations of your business, what technological tools will you use in your business, and has the distribution methodology for your product or service changed by the implementation of new technologies. So make sure you kind of stay up to date on different platforms that you're using and the way technology is changing because it happens quick. So L is for legal. So legal factors are, the legislative changes that take place over time. So many of these changes affect the business environment. If a regulatory body sets up a regulation for industries, for example, that law would impact industries and businesses in that economy. So businesses should also analyze the legal developments in respective environments. And some legal factors that you need to be aware of are product regulations, employment regulations, competitive regulations, patent infringements, and health and safety regulations as well. And then we head into E is for environmental. So some environmental factors that you probably need to be aware of is your geographical location, the climate and weather, waste disposal laws, energy consumption regulation, and people's attitudes towards the environment. Some tips for your pestle analysis. So the 5 steps to follow are understand all the environmental factors before moving to the next step, collect all the relevant information, identify the opportunities for your organization, recognize the threats your company faces, and the final step is to actually take action and implement what you've learned into your business. Some additional considerations include industry factors that have an impact on the company performance. Environmental analysis is essential to determine what role certain factors play in your business, and many organizations use these tools to project the growth of their company effectively, not just to make changes now and today. So Just a reminder, industry analysis is ongoing. You need to continue to monitor your business for changes by completing an industry analysis as part and parcel of your living business plan. You cannot just start researching at the beginning of your business and assume that it will always be the same. Be on the lookout for trends that may impact your business in the short, immediate, or long term, either positively or negatively. It's really important to get both sides of that story. Next up, we're asking the question, what is market research? So in order to support your industry analysis and ongoing business success, you'll need to conduct in-depth market research. We've glossed over market research in some earlier presentations, but we want to fine-tune it here. So market research is the process of gathering information which will make you more aware of how the people you hope to sell to will react to your current or potential products or service. Extensive market research is required in order to understand who your customer really is and what it is that your customer really wants. So when do we do market research? You got to do it before you start a new business. You got to do it when introducing a new product or service into your company, and you want to also do it to maintain your existing business. How does market research help? The four basic purposes for market research are analyzing the market's response to your product, analyzing your advertising effectiveness, and strategic planning. An important rule of thumb. So you might be familiar with the ABCs of business, and that is always be closing, but that's not just what it's about anymore. You also want to be focused on ABR, which is always be researching. So in order to be successful, you want to make sure that you have the most current and up-to-date information from that pestle analysis and from further market research at all times so that you can stay ahead of the game. So now, types of market research. There are two. There's primary research and there's secondary research, but you don't get to just pick one. You have to use both to support your ideas. Primary research is the gathering of original data, and secondary research is using data someone else has published to learn more and to implement in your business. So within those two types of research, there are two kinds of data: qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative is who said what and when. It can't be measured. An example of this is a survey in which the majority of respondents say something like, it's the best experience they have ever had. So think reviews. These sorts of opinions can't be measured, but they're super important to collect. Quantitative data is the second type. And when we think of quantity, we think numbers or measurable information. So quantitative includes numerical data that can be represented in tables, charts, and graphs. If 80% of respondents say they would buy your product or engage with your service again, that's quantitative. So primary research, or AKA field research, is done by gathering original data or data that doesn't already exist. So collection methods of primary research data include observation, which is observing your competition or your current customers in a retail setting. You can conduct experiments, so trying out new ways of doing things, new recipes, product or service sampling, that sort of thing. You can do surveys that involve questionnaires through phone, mail, email, or face-to-face. And consumer panels can also be really helpful, like running focus groups to ask folks how they feel about your product, how they feel about your service, that sort of thing. Other ways to collect primary research include on-site location visits of competitors. So things like sitting on a bench across from a store or heading into the store and determining the number of clients in peak hours, the average purchases made, so how many products or how much they're worth, in-house marketing, what they have, how they promote their business inside the stores, the different price structures for different product types, sales process. So what does it look like when the customer walks in the door to when they walk back out? Are they interacting with the customer service representatives or the owner of the business? Is there a lot of human contact? And also client profiles. So who's coming into the stores of your competitors? And did you think that they were the customers that you would have? You can also do secret shoppers, so you can head in, or you can maybe have someone who works with you or a close friend or family member go into a shop that would be considered your competitor and determine the client process that way and what it's like to interact with the people who work for the store. You can also do informational interviews. So speaking to current business owners in your industry is a really good way to get an insider's view. Do pay attention to a few things though. So you want to make sure that you have done some general research first. You want to make sure that you've established a rapport with them so that you're on good terms and they don't think that you're necessarily trying to be sneaky in any way. You want to ask clever and open-ended questions. So yes or no questions shut down a conversation really quickly. So asking things that keep people talking is a really valuable tool and a valuable way of gaining information. And another thing, if you are in London, try to interview outside of the London region. So head to places like Guelph or Waterloo or Windsor who have populations similar to ours, but aren't necessarily directly in London. So you're not speaking with your direct competition. The next thing we'll cover here is secondary research. So this is known as desk research, and secondary research summarizes existing research and data previously published and usually by someone else. So this typically costs much less money than primary research. And money does also equal time. So it costs less in terms of your time as well. Collection methods of secondary research is basically a lot of Googling. So where do you find the data? The big one that we recommend is Statistics Canada, so StatsCan. And actually it's really exciting. So in 2021, a new census will be going out where they'll be asking questions. So over the next year, you'll see a lot more information updated for current times. You can also check out trade magazines, the Canadian Almanac, that sort of thing. Business magazines, both print versions and the internet, because the content can be different. Economic indicators like inflation, unemployment levels, industry revenues, or industry values. Industry Canada through the government website is also a good one. Various associations. So if you're a part of an industry whose workers or knowledge keepers are part of associations, that can be a good way of connecting with people. Networking is also a really important one and something that we've talked about in previous presentations. You want to make sure that you're up to date on newspapers, magazines, and Google. So Google is interesting because you can type in basic questions into Google, but if you really want facts-based information, you can use sites like Google Scholar. Canada also has business service centers. So Ontario has its own business service centers that you can grab. There is a site for super demographics. So that one can be used more so for determining the types of people who live around you or customer segments and that sort of thing. And then there's also directories, business directories. So Scott's Directory, Fraser's Ontario Business Directory, where you can kind of determine how big is your industry in the area that you're looking for. Also, ICX Canada allows users to search for commercial properties to lease or to buy. Networking Today is a list of networking groups in popular cities around Canada. MEDEI, information about the services they provide, including the SWODF fund. LEDC has some great resources, particularly for London, Ontario. So LEDC is the London Economic Development Corporation, and they've done some great work on understanding and compiling information on the specific London neighborhood areas. If you're from London or have spent time in London, you know that we're a city full of boroughs. So it's very detailed demographic information on who lives there and who might walk by your storefront. You can also head over to FedDev, which is free research assistance, and free is always such a lovely offering. For those links, they will be under the video in the resources and consider this headings. So make sure you check those out. You can just click directly from the website. So How will you use your research? So market research breakdown looks like customer identification, target markets and market segmentation, competition analysis, SWOT analysis, environmental analysis, and industry analysis. So customer markets and target markets, or customer segments and target markets, because you will use the majority of your market research for these two topics. There's a separate workshop after this one that I'll walk you through how to identify customer segments and how to break down your target markets. But for now, we'll explore the other ways to apply your research. So the first one is competitor analysis. A competitor analysis is an objective overview and comparison between your company and your competitors, and it involves three main parts. So almost everyone in business understands the principles of trying to offer something better than what their competitors are offering. So gathering an advantage is a key to success and even survival. However, many of these so-called advantages those businesses rely on can be easily copied, stolen, or negated. So real competitive advantages like brand name recognition, patented manufacturing processes, or exclusive rights to a scarce resource cannot be easily copied. Information such as how your competitors price, market, and sell their products can help you differentiate your business. And a good understanding of the competitive environment may identify areas that are currently not being targeted. So those three steps are to identify your competitors, direct and indirect. So direct offers the exact same service and product, and indirect offers similar services and products. You also want to identify their strengths and weaknesses, and you want to define concretely your competitive advantage and why customers would come to you over your competitors. So market research for competitive analysis can include customer surveys, suppliers, website and internet searches, secret shoppers, informational interviews, observations, marketing collateral, social media, reviews and testimonials, trade journals, trade shows, markets, business directories, and associations. Next up is a SWOT analysis. You may have heard of this before. It's a really common analysis, and it's closely related to the competitor analysis. We can recommend conducting SWOT analysis for your company, but also for your key competitors and the products and services that they offer. So a SWOT analysis is another acronym and consists of 4 general categories that include your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So this is another way to organize the market research as it relates to your business and how it operates within its industry and in relation to your competitors. So first, we have our SWOT analysis for strengths. So consider your company's strong points. There should be both from your own and your customers' points of view. So don't be modest, be realistic. And this is super important for the rest of your SWOT analysis, even in your competitors, your customers, and yourself. So what distinctive competitive advantages does your company offer? And what do your competitors offer as well? What do you and your competitors do well? How do your competitors successfully satisfy needs? And how can you? Why do customers say they enjoy doing business with you? And why do they say that they enjoy doing it with your competitors? And is there anything you currently offer that cannot be copied by a competitor now or in the future? SWOT analysis for weaknesses. So evaluate your company's weaknesses not only from your perspective, but also from the perspective of your competitors. It's sometimes difficult to think about and discuss your weaknesses, but it is best to be realistic now and face any unpleasant truths as soon as possible. So what does your company do that can be improved? What does your company do poorly? What should be avoided? What do your competitors do better than you? And do competitors have a particular market or segment absolutely locked up? And what do your customers look for and not receive from you? So what might turn a customer away from your business because they don't find it? The next one is opportunities. So next we want to consider the areas in your market that offer you room to grow. So opportunities can come from changes in technology and markets on both a broad and narrow scale, changes in government policy related to your industry, changes in social patterns, demographics, and customer lifestyle changes, and local events such as the closing of a store near you. Ask yourself, what and where are the interesting opportunities in your market? What are the important trends occurring in your local area as well as across the nation? What do you anticipate happening in the future that may represent an opportunity? Is there room for another player in the market? And what changes have left an opening in the market? The last one, our T, is threats. So although we don't like to think about them, we all face threats in our businesses. Many times they're out of our control, such as a downturn in the economy, a shift in market demographics, or perhaps a new big box store opening in your local area. It is critical to think about and be prepared for such events. So questions to ask yourself: what are the obstacles that your company faces? What are your key areas of risk? What is your competition doing that could take business away from you or stunt your company's growth? How easily can your competition adapt? Are the required specifications for your products or services changing? Is the changing technology threatening your position in the market? Do you have cash flow problems that could keep your company from acquiring new technology, staff, or equipment? How difficult are the barriers to entry? And how do you think competitors will respond to you? So make sure you're answering these questions with your market research. So the SWOT analysis often looks like so. We have organized this in the workshop as well. So to address the points you make, you can use that worksheet or you can write them down in list format. So your strengths opportunities box would encourage you to pursue the opportunities that are a good fit to the company's strengths. So this is how to help make your decisions. The things that fall under the strengths and threats box is how can you use your strengths to reduce your vulnerability to external threats? When we have opportunities and weaknesses, how are we going to overcome our weaknesses to pursue opportunities? And things that fall under the weaknesses and threats category will help you to establish a defensive plan to prevent it becoming highly susceptible to external threats. So now let's look at the competition. Understanding why your strongest competitors have been successful will provide you with the important information about the market's likes and dislikes. Conducting a SWOT for them will help you understand your own business better. So the competitor SWOT part 1. So this is also in your worksheet, and you are going to want to list your competitors. You don't have to do 5 necessarily, but the more information, the more competitors that you look at, the better you are prepared to make decisions for your business. You want to identify whether they are direct or indirect competitors, and then you want to determine their locations. So just a reminder that geographic location and online location, so whether they're using Instagram, Facebook, website, or different tools like that, you can identify that in your location as well. So it's not just about the city, the province, or the country that you're operating in, but also the online space. So part 2, we're going to address the strengths and weaknesses of our competitors from the point of view of your target customers. So you actually want to think like a customer. So put yourself in the headspace of your customer. So the strengths: what does your competition excel at? What do your competitors do well? How do they successfully satisfy customer needs? What is their competitive advantage? What can you learn from your competitors? And why do customers purchase from them? The weaknesses of your competitors: this one might be a little bit easier. What do your target customers look for and not receive? What does your competitor not do that you could do or that you are doing? What does your competitor not do well? What can you learn from your competition? And why would a customer not buy from your competitor? And then part 3, assess the competition for opportunities and how you could be a possible threat to them. So for the opportunities, how can your business capitalize on the barriers of your competition? And threats: what are the overall threats to your business? But also, how can you be a threat to the competitor? And now the self-SWOT. It's also a really good idea to look inward and internally on your own personal self-SWOT. So, self-SWOT rules: be realistic about your strengths and weaknesses, but not hard on yourself. I think that's also an important thing to recognize. So I do encourage you, for every weakness you have, to also list a strength, and for every strength you have to also list a weakness. You want to be specific, so make sure that you are not generalizing or glossing through this exercise. just as something to do. Be specific and be intentional. Analyze the data from target customers' point of view. So why would your target customers connect or not connect with you? And how are there ways that you might be able to improve? Study competitors of the same or similar caliber. So look at the people who run other businesses, look at how they interact with their customers, look at their online presence, look at the things that they say and the things that they do, not just in their business, but on a personal level. And you want to remember your bias. So SWOT is subjective. So if you lean confident, remember that you should be really being honest with yourself about your weaknesses. And if you lean self-deprecating, make sure that you're honest with yourself about your strengths. I know that I struggle with that one. So make sure that you are paying attention to the subjectiveness of your opinions of yourself, and as well as the opinions of your competitors. And focus on the 80-20 rule. And in business, improvements can often be achieved by identifying the 20% of the customers, the 20% of the activities, 20% of the products or processes that account for the 80% of contribution to profit, and maximizing the attention paid to them. So your self-SWOT might look a little bit like this. So for under your strengths and opportunities, so your strengths, what do you excel at? What is your competitive edge? Why would a customer buy from you and not your competitor? Your weaknesses, what could you improve on? And why would a customer not buy from you? Weaknesses, what potential opportunities exist? Which competitor weaknesses can you capitalize on? And threats, how easily can you adapt to the competition and how well will you compete? Your self-SWOT, don't miss opportunities for your business. Is there room for another play in the market? What potential opportunities for new business exist? What are some trends that could lead to opportunities? And which competitor weakness can you capitalize on? And then be realistic about any threats to your business. What potential problems could your competitor pose? What is the greatest threat that this company poses to you? How easily can your competition adapt? How difficult are the barriers to entry? And how do you think your competitor will respond? So that brings us to the end of the market research presentation. So what's next? Conduct your market research, primary and secondary. So use this presentation and use the worksheet to go through your primary and secondary needs and how to answer your pestle analysis, your SWOT analysis, and how to analyze your industry and your environmental markets. So fill out your competitor analysis, conduct a business SWOT, a competitor SWOT, and a self-SWOT, and then head over to Customer Segmentation Workshop to learn more. How to get in touch if you have not given us a follow through Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. These are our handles, and you can always find out more information in our current events, workshops, and offerings, and to book an appointment with us if you're having a little bit of trouble with market research through the Leap Junction website at leapjunction.ca. Thank you so much for being with us for the market research presentation. It might feel like a lot and it might be hard to get started, but the only thing holding you back is you. So make sure you start Googling, and if I were you, I would head over to Stats Canada first. Have a good day, guys.